there. Can everybody see the screen? Everybody good there?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Somebody give me. Oops. Somebody give me what we were working on the other day. I gave y'all a homework problem. It had a bunch of fractions in it.
Negative 1/3 x squared plus 2/3 x minus 3.
All right. How'd y'all come? Did y'all work on it at home? Did you get it done? Or did you pretty much give up on it?
I gave up.
You gave up? Well, that's good. That's a good discouraging comment. Yep. All right. Well, that's good. All right. So let's move C.
If it makes you feel better, I moved C and then I gave up.
Okay. Good. At least you did one step.
I try to factor out the fractions.
You factor out the negative 1/3 now.
Yeah.
That's what you do next.
Mine's about 3.
So I'm going to factor out a 1/3, a negative 1/3 right here.
Are we able to turn the volume up some?
Say again.
Can we turn up the volume some?
You can do whatever you want to. That's fine.
God. Some.
Okay. And that's going to give us, what is negative 1/3 x squared divided by negative 1/3 x squared? All right. Now, I'm going to take another sheet. I don't want to take up all my paper here. So I'm going to take up another sheet, and we're going to do the division for 2/3 on another sheet so y'all won't spaz. Divided by negative 1/3. Because that's what you're doing when you factor 2/3. When you factor that negative 1/3 from that 2/3, this is actually what you're doing.
Priority 1 message coming in on secure channel.
That's equal to, and this is what people don't know how to do. This is, they suck at this because they haven't done it. Negative 3/1. And what happens to the 3's? And you're left with what? Negative 2. So all of that, and you're left with negative 2. Okay? Now, what's half of 2?
1.
1 squared?
Mm-hmm.
So what has actually happened with this problem that you thought was the Antichrist? It's actually turned into what? An easy problem. Because 1 is the multiplicative identity. It's kind of hard to mess up 1. So negative 1/3 times x minus 1 quantity squared is equal to 3 minus 1/3. Negative 1/3 x minus 1 quantity squared is equal to 9/3 minus 1/3. Negative 1/3 times x minus 1 quantity squared is equal to 8/3. Sorry, what? Somebody have a question? Miss Leonhardt, is everything okay? Can you see everything?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, now I want you to write the vertex out, and I want you to also put it in intercept form. And let's go ahead and write down the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept?
0, -1.
Y-intercept is 0, -3. The intercept method, or the intercept form, is f of x is equal to -1/3 x minus 1 quantity squared minus 8/3. And then the vertex is 1, -8/3. Okay, now I want everybody to solve it. Solve it for x. First of all, is there any x-intercepts?
Or yes.
No, there's not. You were first time. You were right the first time. No, because what happens when you divide 8/3 by -1/3? What do we get? A positive divided by a negative is?
Negative.
And you can't take the square root of a negative number, so therefore there's no x-intercepts. So you can go ahead and write negative in the radical, therefore no x-intercepts. You go ahead and solve it in terms of I. So go ahead and solve it in terms of I. So we're going to divide by -1/3 and divide by -1/3, and this cancels. So we have x minus 1 quantity squared is equal to, when you divide by 1/3, you multiply by what? The reciprocal, and 3's do what?
Cancel.
You're left with -8. X minus 1 quantity squared is equal to -8. Take the square root of both sides. X minus 1 is equal to the square root of -1 times the square root of 8. X minus 1 is equal to I times 2. Let's see, 2 times square root of 4. Square root of 2 times square root of 4 would be 2 times square root of 2. So x minus 1 equals 2I times square root of 2. X is equal to 2I square root of 2 plus what? Or 1 plus 2I square root of 2, however you want to write it. Now, as you can tell, this started off as a problem that you look like you probably could not solve. Or you would give up on the first row, you'd give up on it. But as it actually turns out, it turns out to be what? Really simple. Because you factored out that -1/3. Now, this completes me teaching you how to do complete the square. But what have you actually learned? You've learned how to tackle a quadratic equation and not have to depend on a calculator. That's what you've learned. Now, how many problems have we done in the last week? Look in your notes. Probably about 7 or 8. Look and see.
Yeah.
About 8?
Yeah.
Right? So you have just about every combination of a quadratic equation in your notes. All you need to do now is just practice. I've just taught you how to play Mary Had a Little Lamb. All right? Now, if you play that the first time, you're going to really what? Suck at it. But if you play Mary Had a Little Lamb 15,000 times, you're going to sound a whole lot better than the first time you did it. And completing the square, factoring in algebra and completing the square in algebra is the closest thing in mathematics to playing an instrument. Because if you do it one time, if you do it 8 times like we just did over this, you're going to suck at it. If you do it 10,000 times or 100 times or however many times you want to do it, then you're going to be a whole lot faster and a whole lot better at it. So, what have you learned? Well, you've learned that now we can take this graph, any graph that you give me as a quadratic, and I can graph it. Now, 0, -3, 1, 2, 3 is our y-intercept. We know this function is negative, so it's open in which way? A is negative, so, or A, hold on. A is negative. Well, what is A? We'll go back to your intercept form. A is 1/3. So, it's negative, so that means it's open in which way? Downward. So it's not going to cross the x-axis. Well, where's the vertex? Well, the vertex is 1 and -2 2/3. 2 2/3 would be right in there. Now, why does this look so wide?
Just stretch horizontally because it's a fraction.
Because of the 1/3. The 1/3 is a fraction between 0 and 1. Now, domain. Domain, unless instructed by the instructor or the directions on a quadratic, will always be what?
All real.
All real numbers, because you can plug anything into a quadratic. Range is going to be from -infinity, because this is -infinity and this is +infinity. The arrowheads. This is -infinity and this is +infinity. So range is from -infinity to whatever that point is. What is it? -8/3. So -infinity to -8/3. Increasing, if I had a plane, and that plane was approaching this vertex, what is this plane doing from left to right? It's what? It's increasing. It's going up, right? So the increasing values are from -infinity to what? To the x, which is 1. So increasing from -infinity to 1. Decreasing, then the plane hits the vertex. And as the plane keeps going west, or east, sorry, as the plane keeps going east, what is it going to be doing here? Oops. It's going to be descending. So it's decreasing, oops, from 1 to infinity. Oops. What's my vertex? My vertex is my highest or lowest point. So you've got the vertex. But what always goes through the vertex? Line of symmetry goes through the vertex. So your line of symmetry will always be x is equal to whatever the x is on your vertex, which is 1. So the line of symmetry is x is equal to 1. Okay, at this point, you can do that with any quadratic equation. There's no more factoring. You don't have to worry about if it's factorable or not. You don't have to worry about using the calculator. All you have to do is do what you've been doing for the last 8 or 9 problems that we just did. Okay? So, with that, you are able to do 3.1 and 3.2 homework. I will open it up after class. I'm not going to do 3.3 yet because 3.3 is not that essential as 3.4 is. So we're going to work on 3.4 today. We're going to start on 3.4 today. So if I don't cover it, you don't need to worry about it. So y'all don't need to start hollering about 3.3 homework. You just need to worry about 3.1, 3.2, and 3.4. Now, before we get into 3.4, I want to do one more thing, and that is do one more problem and let y'all do it by yourself. And I want you to go through do the whole thing, graph it, find the domain, the range, the increasing and the decreasing values, and the line of symmetry. All right? So here we go. 2x squared plus, I'm going to be nice to y'all. Let's see, let's make it 8x minus 4 is equal to 0.
Have a piece of paper. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he just
Okay.
sounded like a demon for a second.
I know it sounded like he's possessed something.
I am possessed.
Oh, okay.
I have an exorcism at 11.
Okay.
I gotta do
All
that.
right. Does that conflict with group?
No, it should be alright.
All right. Don't want to miss group.
Of course not. My AA group's doing really well, by the way.
Good. All right. Do this problem. 2x squared plus 8x minus 4. I was nice to you. Should be able to go through it. Okay, I'll just resume the recording. I'm going to go ahead and do a couple of steps while y'all are working. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to do it and then let y'all look at it. So you should have, at this point, you should have 2 times x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 12. Is that what y'all got? Y'all can talk.
Yeah, that's what we got. You had us muted.
No, I didn't. I took it off.
I don't think you did, because we
Oh,
were
okay.
muted too.
Yeah, ours were still red. Our like. button.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I did. Okay, so now you have your y-intercept. Your y-intercept is 0, negative 4. Your vertex is negative 2, negative 12. And f of x is equal to 2 times x plus 2 quantity squared minus 12. If you need the function in intercept form. Now we just finished by dividing by 2. And we get x plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 6. Let's square both sides. X plus 2 is equal to positive or negative. Well, the square root of 6 is between the square root of 4 and the square root of 9. And what's between 2 and 3?
2.5.
So 4 to 9 is 5. Half of 9 is 6.5. So the square root of 6.5 is 2.5. So I'm going to drop it down to 2.4 maybe, or 2.3. Somebody take square root of 6, maybe 2.3, and tell me what you get.
It was 2.449.
Okay, so it's 2.4. Okay. So x is equal to positive or negative 2.4 minus 2. $2.40 minus $2 is 40 cents. You owe somebody $2.40. You owe somebody $2. You owe $4.40. So there are your two x-intercepts. Is 0.40 and negative 4.40. And now you sketch the graph. Zero, negative 4. Negative 2 and negative 12. 0.4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now we'll take our handy dandy purple or lavender and domain equals all real numbers. Range is from negative 12 to positive what? Infinity? Just a note, the only thing that I ask you for over here, the 4 or 5 things I ask you for, the only one that's not x is the range. Everything else is in terms of what? X. Range is the only one that's in terms of y. Why did I tell you that? Because when I do increasing and decreasing, half of y'all want to put it in terms of y, and that's not right. So decreasing from negative infinity to line of symmetry is what? Negative 2. Negative 2. Increasing from negative 2 to what? Infinity. Line of symmetry, x is equal to what? Negative 2. And now you know, that's number 9 or number 10, however many we've done. Now you know how to do complete the square. And chances are some of y'all are saying, it ain't that hard. And it's not. As well, it's hard if you can't do 5th grade math. Okay? And that's what a lot of people can't do. They can't do the fractions and the decimal. They can't handle it. Now, I promise you, whether you're in regular calculus or whether you're in business calculus, if you know how to do complete and square, that's half the battle. So make sure you learn how to do this. I'd say after about 25 problems, you should be okay. After you finish 2.1 and 2.2, and you do everything, ignore the directions. Okay? Because if the directions tell you factor or use the quadratic formula or use blah, 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 the square root property, are you going to get the same answer if you do complete the square? Yes. Completing the square has no boundaries. Factoring, you have to worry about if the equation is factorable or not. Shortcuts, you have to worry about if the first and the last are perfect squares. Does it matter with quadratic? I hate that. The complete and square does not matter. So I tell students to ignore all the directions and just do every single quadratic equation you see in the homework by completing the square. And if you do that, you'll ace the test as far as complete the square goes. Now, 3.4. Here's an introduction to what we're going to do in 3.4. Some of the stuff we're going to do. And this is very important. 3.4, we're going to be finding an equation of a parabola or other nonlinear That's what we're going to be doing. Finding the equation of a parabola or any other nonlinear function by given 3 points. So here's 3 points. 0, 5, 4, 13, and negative 2, 25. Now, the first thing you want to do is this first point. What do you notice about this first point versus the second and third point? What does it have in it that the other two doesn't?
0.
0. Does that help or hinder your progress?
Nope.
It helps. So this one is the one you want to pick first because it has 0 in it. Y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. That's a quadratic equation. Now plug and chug those 2 points into that equation. Tell me what you get. I'm sorry, what?
Then you get 5.
You get c is equal to 5. Now what do you think we're going to do with that? We're going to use that. Now I want you to plug in this into y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, and this, and then do that. So you're going to have 2 equations. So do that right quick. And I'll draw a kind of a line down through here, because we're going to do 4 and 13 on this side, and we're going to do negative 2 and 25 on this side. Don't forget c is equal to 5. Plug those in. So on the left, I get 13 is equal to 16a plus 4b plus 5. Minus 5, minus 5. 13 minus 5 is what, 8?
8, yeah.
Is equal to 16a plus 4b. Now over here, we got 25 is equal to 4a minus 2b plus 5 minus 5 minus 5. 20 is equal to 4a minus 2b. Now what do we have? Let's call this part 1. Let's call this part 2. Now, what do we got to do for part 3? That's okay. Put them together by using what? Last unit.
Elimination.
Elimination. Good job, whoever said that. That's the only thing I hate about this polycom. I can't see who answers the question. It was a female, so don't even try to say it.
Oh, dang it.
Okay? All right, so put them together, and I don't care what you eliminate. Eliminate whatever you want
Just
to.
in my voice.
Okay? Are you offended?
Yeah, you assumed
Well,
my voice.
I'll tell you what. There's a couple of, what was that back there in the corner? A couple of I'll tell you what. See that table under the whiteboard in your room at Pendleton?
Yes,
right
sir.
There? Go get under that table, and that can be your safe space.
Okay, thank you. What about
Okay.
this trash can in the corner? I can just
Yeah,
get
you
in
can
there.
go stand in it, and that'll be your safe space.
Okay.
Tri-County Tech safe space is a trash can. All right. 8 is equal to 16A plus 4B. 20 is equal to 4A minus 2B. Now, what do y'all think I'm going to get rid of first?
B,
The B. Why?
because they're already opposite signs.
They're already opposite signs, less work. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 2. And that's going to give me 8 is equal to 16A plus 4B. And I'll do the bottom in pink or magenta. 40 is equal to 8A minus 4B. And what happens to the B's? They go out. Now we got 48 is equal to 24A. And A is equal to what?
2.
2. So now we've got A is equal to 2. Plug it back in. I'm going to plug it into the first one up here. I'm going to plug it into that one because it's small, no negatives. So 8 is equal to 16 times 2 plus 4B. And 8 is equal to 32 plus 4B minus 32 minus 32. What is that? 24?
You're frozen.
What?
You're frozen.
Okay, well, we'll just finish it and just do the best we can because class is almost over. I appreciate you telling me. What's 8 minus 32? 24? I don't know. I think it is. Negative 24
Yeah.
is equal to 4B. 4. So B is equal to what? Negative 6?
Yeah.
Negative 8.
8 times 4 is 32.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I didn't see the 24. My fault.
Confusing me. Kidding. All right, now I want you to take A, B, and C and plug it into the quadratic equation. Y is equal to 2x squared minus 6x, what's C?
5.
Plus 5. And you have just found the equation of the parabola that goes through these 3 points. Now that's what we're going to be working with. We're going to be analyzing the parabola in 3.4. So what I want everybody to do this weekend, when you sober up, is I want you, and you get out of group, I want you to work on 3.1, 3.2, and 3.4. Ignore 3.3 for right now. Y'all have a good weekend.
You too.
You too.
And try to get in that class if you can. There's one spot.
Yes, sir.
I will text you when I see another spot open up. So, y'all have a good weekend.